check two. This is it. Welcome to the Cannabis Coffee Hour. I'm your host, Rob Cantrell. Today, I'm coming back with an exciting episode. 310 episodes of the Cannabis Coffee Hour. Today, I'm in Prospect Park. The spring is springing out. We have been through winter. We have been through cold. I just had a great episode in Vermont, and now we're in Brooklyn, and I'm enjoying the park. I'm trying not to be too annoying to other people. I've found a nice corner in the park that doesn't smell like pee, and it's nice and the sun is out. Today I am drinking a Liquid Death Dead Billionaire. Check that bad boy out. This is a tea lemonade agave and vitamins. So it's pretty much an Arnold Palmer. And I always love an Arnold Palmer. As somebody that doesn't drink alcohol, a good Arnold Palmer in the afternoon will get you through. It's an enjoyable experience. And this has vitamins. And yeah, the bird flu's going around. You need vitamins. I gotta tell you, I had a crazy breakfast. I can't wait to tell you all about my breakfast. What I've been eating. I'm still eating on my breakfast. But it's the afternoon. It's the 310th episode. It's almost 311. It's almost come original episode. Always been down. 311. Shout out to 311. I've seen them. I love some of their guitar riffs and songs. But Liquid Death is amazing. I know people hate it. People love it. Me, I just think having a tall boy that's available, that's not alcohol, and like you can go to a club or a bar or anywhere, and you may have had a joint or whatever, but you can have a nice iced tea lemonade. And that's what I enjoy about this thing. Let's pop this and give it a taste test. Is that enough of a commercial for you? But I did buy this at the bodega with my own money, and I liked it because I've had coffee all day, and then to have something that's a lemonade, iced tea type of refreshment is awesome. Yeah, the graphic design is death metal, but who cares? Death metal graphic design is very interesting. Because it's very Wiccan. It's very witchy. I'm just looking at these trees, and it's the fall trees, and you see the green behind me, but I see a lot of dead trees up there, and it has a little bit of that font that death metal has, you know. Heavy metal has that crazy font, and that it does have like a natural element to it. But also, now is the time of change. That's what I've been thinking of. Is spring is always like, but I'm still hiding out. I'm doing a solo episode because I'm still hiding out and getting it together. My Vermont trip. Oh man! Shout out to Matt Vita. Shout out to Sugar Bush Ski Mountain. Castle Rock Pub. What a great gig! Friday night was a gig at this place. There's a plane, but who cares? And there's also a bird. No Superman. Just me, Rob Man. For another episode of the CCH, the Cannabis Coffee Hour. We're here in Brooklyn Prospect Park in a quiet corner. Somebody's playing the bongos over there. It couldn't be more chiller and more relaxed. But yeah, so I went to Vermont and I did this one gig at a ski lodge. And it was like in the ski lodge. It was in the base of the mountain. And it was this Vermont old pub, and the fireplace looked like it had been there since 1800. So it was fire on the mountain for sure in Vermont at this gig. It only had like 100 people, but it was a lot of fun. Shout out to all the organizers, Matt Vita, everybody that came out. I met some people after the show that was a lot of fun and cool to hang out with. It was just a mellow Friday night in Vermont, but it ended up being a really fun comedy show. But I also got to ski for the first time. Check out the video. I mean, I'm editing this weekly and doing the chop. Multicam, that was shot in the hotel room. So I'm getting the systems down. I tried to plug in a beat machine for this episode, but I forgot the wrong cables. And then the other camera, and I've just been, I actually had to do a performance last night, so I'm just coming down from like preparing for that, and then I had to tape this thing that was kind of official, and then, so I'm kind of like, you know, how do I do another episode? And I was like, all right, we're going to go out to the park and have an Arnold Palmer. I don't even play golf, but I guess he was a famous golfer that liked lemonade and iced tea. It's a perfect combination. And so is skiing in Vermont and doing this stand-up gig. And then I got to go skiing. So I got a full day of pass. I remember on Friday, right after I finished taping the episode, the 309 episode, I got a call from the booker, and he said they got a ski pass and a ski lift ticket for me. And I just immediately, as soon as they said it, I was in my car driving up there. Because I had my long johns on, and I had a winter coat, and I had a winter hat, and I had these sunglasses. And I'm not a great skier, but I'm a good enough skier that I can handle most anything. And I know how to take it slow. And but I got hooked up with the free lift ticket, and I got hooked up with the free day, and I just went out by myself. And it was amazing. I don't mind doing things by myself. I don't mind doing this podcast by myself. I love having guests. We'll have some more guests. We're going to take it to the other studio. We're going to take it around Brooklyn. There's, you know, the thing about a weekly podcast, there's always more room and time as long as I'm alive and drinking these vitamins and smoking this great legal cannabis. I think I should be fine. But I love it here in the park. And it just was a big snow. So it's also kind of wet. So I got on these shoes and I covered up all the equipment, and I try to keep it lean and mean. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to go do a podcast in the park. And I set up all the beat machine, but it wasn't ideal. But I want to just make sure, yeah, this is getting picked up. And this is getting picked up. So, you know, I wanted to talk about this. Oh, and so the next night, Mill Valley Comedy Club was great. I met an old comic that I used to see in LA. That was cool. And yeah, the crowd was great. But I decided to drive back. I had something to do on Sunday, so I drove back at 10 p.m. in Vermont, back to New York. And the next day was like a big travel day, and I hate traffic. And so I just got it in my head, and I was butt sober. And I was just like, I'll just drive back. And I drove back, and then right when I was about to get into New York, my sunroof, I pushed the button for the sunroof, and the sunroof opened and got stuck. And so then I had to drive like the last 2 hours of this like 6-hour drive into New York City from Vermont in the middle of the night with the sunroof open, with all my coats and hats on. And then I had to leave it out there. I had to take it to the garage. The thing's fucked, man. But I have a warranty on it, so it's going to work out. But yeah, that was one of those situations where something goes wrong. Just like I had a beat sequencer all lined up for this episode. I was going to play some dub reggae beats and everything. And then I didn't have it. I didn't have the right chord. I brought the wrong microphone. I had to. It just wasn't adaptable, so we made this work with the Zoom pickup mic in my iPhone camera, which does. And I love the fisheye. I know people are like, "Why do you do a fisheye?" I don't know. I just like doing it. So, yeah, the gig was. So yeah, the gig was fun. Traveling was fun. But this morning, like, I made the most craziest overnight oats you've ever dreamt about. I had some leftover, like, strawberry chocolate dessert thing that somebody brought home, but it was all this really good chocolate and all this good strawberry, so I just made an overnight oats with it. And then I poured a cup of coffee into it. And then I put some hemp seed and some chia seeds into it. I had it just in this, so it was just this big chocolate oatmeal pistachio nut chia seed chocolate thing, coffee, mason jar. And it tasted exactly what you thought it tasted like. Delicious. I'm still eating it. I could only eat it. It was so decadent and filling, and it actually, like, picked me up. I was been dragging, and I've been pounding so much coffee, and you know how your gut gets when you pound too much coffee. So this thing was, I don't know, I like switching it up to dark chocolate during the day. I like a lot of oatmeal. I like a lot of bananas. I did stuff a banana in there too. So it was like bananas, strawberry, like decadent dessert chocolate, and then overnight oats and a mason jar. And I'm still eating it right now. And it's absolutely delicious. So yeah, I did this taping. Shout out for Cracked Magazine, which was like the nemesis to Mad Magazine. But these brands, like, I did something for National Lampoon, like these older, and High Times was like that, like these older magazines have now kind of moved off into smaller, like, media companies. So I did do a fun shoot with them the other night, and it's only 10 minutes of stand-up, and the crowd was great. And yeah, I have no idea sometimes how it's going to look on camera. And I don't feel that good about putting out so much media and even taping and doing it. Like, I'm right now, I'm in the park, and the drum people just walked away. I think they're annoyed about me doing a podcast out here. But now nobody's out here. And they were chill. I tried to get them to play on the podcast, but they weren't into drumming on the... I gotta bring my own drummer. I gotta assemble a small crew. So definitely, if you live in New York, or even if you don't live in New York, I am looking for some free intern types, and I could probably, if we start getting some sponsorships. Back Home Cannabis, I'm supposed to speak with them. Shout out to Will about some, we got some talks going on about some sponsorships here and there. But I'm excited to go into spring and do like, gigs have been popping up. Oh yeah, shout out to the Williamsburg Second City. Wow. Now, Second City is Chicago improv, and I never was an improv dude, but if I ever did it, I would do it in Chicago. When I went to that scene, and it was well into my, like, stand-up, like, when I saw the Chicago improv, it was well into me doing stand-up in San Francisco and California. But when I went to Chicago, I was like, oh man, if I was in my early 20s, I would totally be in love with doing, Second City and all those improv theaters, as well as there's good stand-up. But the stand-up in Chicago was always overshadowed, like when I started, was overshadowed by the Second City. But they had a great stand-up show. Shout out to Petey Diarbo, Petey, my man. He has a Petey's World. No, Better Days. That's the name. Petey's World is his other show, but he has another show that was like this epic show, and this like Michael Che and shit would come there. Like, all these dudes would come through. Kind of young New York hip like maybe like before, I'm talking like 5 years before the pandemic. But they did a show at the Williamsburg Second City, and it came through last minute. What I'm saying is shit is coming through last minute. And I'm trying just to relax and enjoy it. Like a dead billionaire. It's a great can. I do love heavy metal font. Like even like Death Angel, there's some really cool fonts that I really enjoy. I think it kind of goes comic books. I always loved comic books. I love art. I think it comes down to, and I think you get shamed out of that because it doesn't make money or anything. But, I'm not really a sports cat. I think I'm just a kind of an arty, nerdy, sensitive stand-up comic that does acting and does beats and has shot film and inspiring directing and everything, Staying busy with little projects is good. It's maddening, but it's good. And this podcast has been a good project for me to understand sound and shooting more and really learning the code of doing it yourself. Because, that's really what it comes down to, is that you have to constantly do things yourself and learn. And especially with new technology and new media, it's just important to constantly evolve. I feel bad talking because I hear an owl. Do you hear that? It's not there now. Yeah, so I'm just excited about the future. Even though all this stuff is going on politically, and I'm not down for it, man. No Nazi, no Trump, none of that shit. But I don't want to, I don't know. With this podcast, I just always wanted it to be more about the moment, more about comedy, more about cannabis, more about music, and more about nature. In that peace of mind, Nature is the ultimate peace of mind at the end of the day. I have to say, like the skiing part is cool, like going fast, but that, I did fall, man. I took a bad fall. I was killing it on the mountain. I did like 3 big-ass runs going down, and I get short skis so I can maneuver, and I can turn. I can turn quick. There was some moguls. I'm not doing moguls, but I can make my way around it, and I can go. And then if it's wide open, I'm all good, man. But I went down this one wide open, and I just fell right on my butt. It wasn't that bad, but I felt it like for the next 5 days. And it's so cold up there. That was the gig, man. It was a beautiful day. The sun was out. Oh my God, it's so beautiful out here right now. I see these clouds just go. But I was skiing by myself. I couldn't be more peaceful. Nothing more peaceful. Nothing more zen. More being alone than being on a chairlift by yourself in Vermont in 14-degree weather. It was like there's these pictures. I was doing these selfies, but there's one where I catch, like, I got my teeth open, and I'm just like, you can tell I'm just like locked because it is so freaking cold. I'm just like, when I get cold, I start going, but the people of Vermont are very warm. The place is cold. It's kind of crazy. There was a sign, like where I went, it was like even further. It was pretty up there, man. There's like Killington, and then you go up another hour. And yeah, I was just going through these valleys that felt like, I don't know, man. I can't even describe. It was like Virginia, but different, man. More snowy and more desolate, like in a different way. There's less people in the colder places. And all these, man, I went to the Capitol Shout out to Capital Cannabis. Shout out to Woolly Mammoth Cannabis. Those are the two legal state-run cannabis stores that I checked out that I highly recommend. But yeah, the capital of Vermont, there was like this whole museum of like this old building. It looked like from the 1700s, man. It was so old and chill. But I didn't get to go. I like kind of old antique stuff. I like old America type stuff. Or old everywhere, I shouldn't say that. But also like new stuff. But I don't mind a good antique now and then. There is something classy about it. Yeah. So, shout out to Vermont. Shout out to great cannabis, great people. The food, yeah, the food was good. There's food everywhere. Coffee is everywhere. I went through this, like, when I was way up there, like, I guess people fall asleep on the road and shit. But I went through this rest area, and it was all free coffee, but it was, like, Vermont. And then one was, like, maple syrup flavored that was so good, and it was, like, because it was state-run, it was, like, it must have been, like, Bernie's cousin or something. I don't know. It was all, like, local Vermont old farmers. It's their coffee. And it was absolutely delicious. And I had a cup of that. I wanted to get a case of that. And I got it right at the tap. The guy was like, oh, that's going to be extra strong. Because the thing was still full. And he had these, like, big case things of coffee. And it was in this rest area. And it was just one old man in there. And they got places in Vermont, the rest areas. I'm a big fan of rest areas. I'll tell you, because I'm always taking a piss. I'm always peeing on the road. I'm always drinking coffee. Oh, yeah, like I said in the last episode, man, I had to do, like, a pull over on the side of the road situation. Trucks and shit. Throw it on the hazards. You know it. But trying to stay safe. Always trying to stay safe. But the coffee at these they had rocking chairs, and you could go in. Everything's so Vermont. They got rocking chairs in their rest areas. They got free coffee and nice old men. The dude was like, "You have a wonderful day." It's like, cool. Maybe he was hitting me up for a tip. I did put like $1 in the slot or whatever. But it was free coffee, which was amazing. Liquid Death, yes, for episode 310 of the Cannabis Coffee Hour here in Prospect Park. I don't have a 420 gig lined up just yet, but some offers are coming through. So if you want to hit me up about a 420 gig, check out at CCH podcast. At the CCH Cannabis Coffee Hour podcast. Alright, check 1, check 2. This is part 2 of the Cannabis Coffee Hour. What are you going to do? We're back. We're doing it again with episode 310. Liquid Death. I'm halfway through. Yeah, just right then I had to take a pee break. But we're splicing back in. Always splicing in, always splicing out. Dead Billionaire. I'm a big fan. This is great Arnold Palmer iced tea. I've had some great legal cannabis. We're hanging out in the park. Hopefully I'll have some good sound and good video capturing this. Live, hope to do some live stream. I know that's what the gig is. Hope to do some live streams of the Cannabis Coffee Hour, doing music. Everything that I've talked about in these 310 episodes has come to fruition. And that's what I've been thinking about is it really is what's in your brain, or what you put there and what you gravitate towards, and what you love and and how that love gravitates towards. And then the patience is the hardest part. As the great Tom Petty sang, the waiting is the hardest part for me. And you have to go for it. But that's what's great about doing this podcast, is that I'm going for it every week. Whether I make it or not really doesn't matter. Just showing up. So I'm glad you guys are showing up. Firing up bowls, firing up joints, firing up bongs. I think cannabis has been so good for so many reasons in my life, and going into the future with this whole AI and just like all the job markets and even the psychedelics that are hitting the consciousness, collective consciousness. Just being able to, like I've always said, it does give you that being able to see the bigger picture, being able to slow down and enjoy nature, which is exactly everything, When I think back to like my best memories, and that's what I was talking about, that, it wasn't like a good gig, but it was a great gig, but pay-wise, it was like everybody, just I know these type of gigs that are out there and they're fun, and I'm awesome. I'm grateful enough to be at a level where I can get them. And you can get perks like, skiing on an awesome, I've never dreamt that I would be on that mountain. I never thought, when I heard of people like talking about Vermont and Stowe, I never thought I would ever be up there or even ski at that level. And I just went up and down this mountain like it was no thing. And I can't get too cocky because I fell down once. And it did hurt. It was a good reminder. Nature will remind you over and over again. And, but being more in it, I get more used to it. Just even looking around and looking at all the nature that's around me right now, it's literally it's a little cold, but I got enough on and I'm in a warm enough spot that I'm not really that affected by it. It's almost like a perfect moment. Like, I love not looking at my phone and connecting with the sky. That was the Eckhart Tolle thing about a way of when you're just walking, looking at the sky. And we are the sky. We are a part of the sky. Like everything that makes the sky, everything that makes the trees, everything that makes the universe, we are a part of. That's what trips me out. It's the ego that is this concept that is at play here. But nature's okay, I'm gonna keep on going. It keeps on going, pushing it, and chilling. But the state of mind in terms of inner peace and meditating, I meditated today and I made it to 20 minutes, but it was hard. I have to say it was hard, and I hadn't meditated. That's the thing, man. The same thing with working out, physically. When you take, you don't have to be perfect about it. But when you take days off, it's harder. And then I'm I don't want it to be harder. I want it to be easier. And the same thing with stand-up. I'm starting to do more sets, but I do know my inner voice. If I want to crank out a top-notch special, and everybody has specials now, but I know what it takes, and it takes a lot of work, a stage time. So I got to go out there and do it. But now that I've done it enough that, I don't know, I could self-edit a little bit more. Because there's no rush when everything's right there. That's what's chill about it all right now. There's really no rush. The technology, it's all up to you. Well, there's a little rush. The day goes by. the stars go, death is always upon us. That's what gets me up and out the door. That's what keeps me pushing, is like, you never know. That's why everybody's like I think until you drink your last, until you breathe your last breath, you never know. Never know about anything. You can put your heart and intention towards something and then kind of float towards it. I think is the gig I'm trying to get to right now. But it takes self-control and self-discipline, especially with writing. And like I was saying, with meditating, writing, I need to start reading more books. The herb, I mean, is, I don't know. I always read, but I'll read a little bit more. I need to keep it, I gotta find books that I like, I guess is where I'm at. Comic books. Not completely, but I do like a good graphic novel. I like art. I like books about art. And I do like a good biography. Like, I always liked biographies. And I like the, seeing, the span of a person's lifetimes and the ups and downs and the twists and turns. It's never the same. Never the same. Nothing's ever the same. I couldn't have dreamed up this moment. Being able to have a podcast like this, the Cannabis Coffee Hour, drinking like vitamin Arnold Palmers in the middle of the day, and this is my job. I got, that's the thing about the podcast, is that I got to push it more to make it a full-time job. So please like and subscribe. I hate saying that stuff. You should be already doing. There's no other better podcast out there. I've watched them. I've looked at them. Nobody's hanging out in the park smoking J's and drinking liquid death. Going solo commando mission out here. Rocking rhymes. I do want to do some more raps. I think I need to work on it. And, I'm learning like this beat machine. And working on this new space. But I love doing these outside episodes. I do think, how life comes, like if I'm going to keep it weekly, like it has to be a little bit run and gun and pop up just about anywhere. But every situation is different and new. So even after 310 episodes of weekly, it's still, it's still tricky. Stuff still goes wrong. Today I was going to plug in this like beat machine and do beats out here and stuff. And I only have a little bit of time to knock this out. As much as I say we have all the time, and I'm like, I need 1 hour to get the podcast done. And that's hard to schedule. And then to keep that going consistent. But there's 24 hours in a day. And there's just so much. Life is just so good and so beautiful. I mean, it's just like, that's where it gets overwhelming. It's that it's all there. All the time. And you get, but if you just really slow down and work and completely be yourself and what you're comfortable with, and being the soul of the space that you're taking. That's what I was reading about today, is like, it was like, it was some meditation thing, but it was like, just remember, like, you got to be the soul of wherever you're at. Like right now, I'm, this is me, this is my show, but around me, this is what I'm talking about, what I'm being about, what I am. Nature, love, hippie, herb, fun, ever-evolving drinks, coffee, shows, more skiing. Definitely want to do more skiing. But not, I don't know. You got to take it as it comes a little bit. I'm ready for the warmer weather. I do love the sun. That's why I'm kind of in a good mood right now, is because of the sun. And I'm like good tired. Like I'm really been really, really content, even with like the little wins. And just where I am in life. As much as crazy as it is, like, I don't know, getting older, being 50, like there's parts of me I have still yet to discover and figure out. And I think going through shit, you find that. And then it always comes back to that peace of mind, which is nature, which is that quiet, like, where the thing isn't, the chatter isn't chattering, and you're just like, you're just as much as the plant is, you're just in the zone back home. I think about that as like life and death, and like back home, like the idea of home being like just the very, very beginning. But what's before that? I don't know. And it doesn't matter, probably not. But do I think we're going back there? Yes. And then back again. I thought I heard another bird. That's some dude just going, woo! That's some dude being Ric Flair on a city bike. Dude, the city bike stuff is crazy, man. There's like 14-year-old people driving around at doing 35 miles per hour on the electric bike. People just cruise. I see it. See kids like just teenage. I haven't done it. I'm scared. I'm scared somebody's going to hit me. But it does look, walking around does get tiring after a while. But it keeps me in shape, so I like it. I can't ever complain about the amount of walking I do. But I think I am getting at the age where I'm like, hey, this is a lot of walking. And I used to stomp everywhere. I still stomp everywhere. But I used to really, I stomp a lot of places now. Just living in New York City. But that is the one thing, there's a lot of things I like about New York City. But that is a really good thing, is that you're always moving, always walking. Pumping blood through the heart. But you got to watch out for the knees. Oh, here's a nice bird. Did a couple loops. Check. Yeah. Ow. Or is that a bat? I can't tell. It could have been. There's a lot of bats in New York, man. Is Transylvania in New York? Not sure. Pennsylvania? Yeah, that looks like a bat. Maybe a bird. It kind of had a red, but it was mostly a brown type of bird. And it wasn't like, it was like doing like a kind of a crazy pattern, you know? You know how bats do crazy patterns? Because they can't see. They're going by ear. The bats come out at night. The bats come out at day. Day bats? I've never heard of day bats. I don't know. What I do know is times are changing. The Bob Dylan movie was great. I think I talked about that before. I really enjoyed that. I want to watch some more flicks. Let me see, what else? Yeah, I've been working out, doing the speed bag, putting on the beats. There's that bat again. I don't know if it's a bat or not. Maybe I'm tripping out. But it was a bird. And it did a loop. It came right at me. But it couldn't be more chill here. It's almost hard to talk that I'm just in such chill mode here. Doing the King Tut. The King Tut breakdance move. Those were the joints. I gotta bring that back. Steve Martin. Steve Martin was doing stand-up. Everybody's doing stand-up. But he's the king of stand-up. That album. I remember that album. I remember King Tut. That was like one of the first vinyl records. Like, I remember my cousin Joseph had it. and it was a big deal, and I listened to it at my grandmother's house in Pound, Virginia, up in the attic. There was like this turntable. I remember listening to it. I remember him having the album and how much of a big deal it was. And back then, you didn't have media constantly. That's what's such a trip, man. Like at the end of the day, sometimes when everybody goes to bed and it's like, oh, like you would think I would go and watch TV. Sometimes I just sit in the dark room and I'm not even sleeping. I just sit there in the dark. And I'm like, I don't really feel like watching a video. I just feel like being. It's always good to be. Be fresh. Be right. Be right now. Be. Because non-being is a true thing. Especially in the physical realm. But again, I think once you start trying to figure it out, you kind of lose the moment of how glorious it is. Like right now, it's so fucking beautiful here. I'm almost losing it. Like I just want to scream at the top of my lungs, like, thank you. It's like blue, the trees are everywhere. And it's not indoors. Like I'm not indoors. And so when I'm outdoors, when I'm outside, I feel more alive and connected. And that's how skiing was. Like being on the side of a mountain and skiing down. It's not the physical skiing. It's more like going up and down the mountain and just being on that mountain for like 4 or 5 hours. So you're outside for 4 and 5 hours. I think the same thing goes for golf, but I'm not a golfer. But I think that's why old dudes and old women and everybody likes golf. It's a chance to be outside for a reason. And the time kind of just flows. And the time flows here. I'm having a blast. I got my gloves. It's starting to get chilly. It's like, I did this like right at that point where you're like, oh, it's warm out. But it was calling for rain today. As soon as I saw the sun and I knew I had to do the 310th episode of the Cannabis Coffee Hour, I was like, okay, I'm going to be outside. Ooh, I got some, oh, this is always good. This is that Dr. Bronner's. Got some Dr. Bronner's. I got a spliff. I've been smoking a spliff. But I'm still not sure about smoking on camera or if I want that to be a part of the podcast constantly. Because I am taking a gamble. The algorithm, takes cannabis content down and they always, bring the algorithm. I'm just going to keep doing it and try to build it from what I like and what I think is funky fresh. Fresh beats, fresh herb, fresh coffee, fresh liquid death, fresh Dr. Bronner's peppermint. Ah, this is so good. Dr. Bronner's, give it to me. Peppermint. Outdoors, and it's just the right crisp air right here. It's just cold. I feel like I could podcast forever, but I did pound this liquid death. I killed this Arnold Palmer dead billionaire. I feel like, I don't want to be dead, but I feel like a Grateful Dead billionaire. Let's see. Yeah, check out Rob Cantrell for my dates. I am gonna do some more shows coming up. I'm just putting my one-man show together, 1972. Slowly but surely, it's coming together. I'm not sure if I'm going to lean into that or if I'm going to do something else for my tape special, but that's on the table as well. And I have been doing all these acting auditions and I'm writing. So again, it's like a lot of it's like the discipline of just showing up. But I need to get on my, not get on my case, but more like get on my case for getting on my case. give myself a little bit of room in that sense for showing up all these years. I've been doing stand-up comedy and music since 1999. It's 2025. But I know everybody talks about how long they've been doing it, and everybody's getting so old. But I still feel like I have so much to do and so much to learn and so much to see. Especially with doing this podcast. Like, I think I just can see me in Amsterdam. I can see myself in Colorado. I can see myself in DC doing California, doing the cannabis coffee hour, pounding liquid deaths, pounding cappuccino, smoking herb, pumping beats, freestyling, doing stand-up. But again, I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.